Right, I will drill that, and then we can reconvene and see how it goes together. Right, so now I've drilled this hole out a little bit wider. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but there is a shoulder up that hole that will stop this being dragged out as we tighten the thread. Let's see how well it fits. We have a dowel piece and the metal piece that it's going on. It's going to be a slightly tighter fit, I think. Yeah, that's good. So now we get the big test, which is, of course, will the rod fit in it all? So we tighten the rod down a bit. I haven't tightened it so much that it's difficult. That's how it's sitting in there. You can get that on, and we can get that nut on. And we can tighten this up with the Futon Company supplied spanner, and I think we will have a very tight fit. Now, so we've got a split that's unfortunately catching both of the holes where the dowel and the threaded locking rod go, and it also goes along here just a little bit. It's not very obvious. I'm inclined to glue it and clamp it. There's not much movement in it, but there's a bit, and probably glue it with the dowel in place, just give it that extra bit of strength. The fortunate thing is that where it goes is is here, and we'll go to the back piece over there that I just knocked down. And so it isn't actually load bearing. What it is it's more for tensioning the two pieces. So we'll glue that up and clamp it, but again, really poor quality control. I think it's possible it's split in the box, but I don't know. Anyway, I have found some glue and a couple of clamps. I'd rather not use waterproof wood glue on it because that stuff is rare here, but I can't find my non-waterproof glue. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll get that into its place. Okay. So I said that I would show you the problem with a different kind of problem with these Twingle oak units. This is an earlier unit that I bought, and this is the second Twingle that I bought and the first oak one that I bought. And what we're looking at here is the bolt that clamps the backrest timber to the rest of the frame. I want to show you that when I try to tighten it with the Allen key, it's not locking. So if I unscrew it like this, in fact I'll show you what kind of bolt it is. They no longer do these bolts. They do a bolt that has got a much finer thread and which grips into an insert nut, just like the one that you saw was missing earlier on the second oak frame I bought. This is what they had before, and the problem with these is that they are presumably supposed to grip into something in here, into a hole in here, but they just don't grip. You can take it up, you feel a slight tension towards the end, and then it's stuck. And it's not just that one that's doing this, because over on the other side, I'll just move the camera so you can see it, over on the other end we have exactly the same problem. This is exactly the same kind of bolt. We take it out, and then there's just this faint sort of, it becomes sticky, but it never really stops turning. Now the actual back clamps pretty well, but that's you know, that's subpar really. So I showed you the problem I had with the first Twingle, the oak one, which was actually the second oak one I'd bought. I've just shown you this problem with this one, but what I also want to tell you about, though I can't show you it, is that even with the first Twingle I bought, the pine Twingle, there were problems, and I'll just move the camera to show you what they were like. If we imagine that this is the frame of a pine one, what I found was that this slat, or one of these slats, one of them was too short, and it was significantly too short, about 100 mil, so it just wouldn't sit in its two frame slots, which meant you had a gap of about that width. When I saw that, it was a Sunday morning, and it was easier for me just to go to the timber shop and buy a piece of wood. I think it cost me just under £2, and then sand its edges down to smooth it and put it in. But a pain to experience that on something that's come new out of the shop, and which really should have been caught out by a decent QC, quality control. The other problem that the pine one developed was that the wood that's used for the pine is clearly very, very cheap to source, and had rather large knots in it, and I think within a week of using it, one of those had cracked, so I'd lost another slat, and then over the next few months another one cracked, so I ended up replacing 3 of the slats altogether, which is 3 out of 7 of those slats, because this is a slightly different piece of wood that's the one that's used to clamp the 2 rails together. So there are 7 of these, and effectively one of them came in too short out of the factory or out of the shop, and 2 broke. I replaced them, and I actually sold that Twingle on in the end. So all 3 of the Twingles I've bought, 1 pine, 2 oaks, every single one has had problems that came with them out of the factory. And although they're a lovely design and quite clever and very simple in their way, very elegantly simple, I don't think it's a purchase that I would repeat. So there you go. I hope what I've shown you is useful to you if you encounter any of the problems I've encountered, and good luck with your Twingles.